Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. With innumerable revivals since its original performances in 1606, the New York Times writes, Macbeth is the most instantly accessible of Shakespeare's tragedies. Violent, elemental, familiar, and short. No matter which way the story is bent, it maintains its recognizable human core of ambition and regret. Directors can emphasize its witchy aura, its bloodthirsty politics, its marital drama, or critique of masculinity without endangering its essential stageworthiness. Over the last few years, plays about Macbeth, alluding to Macbeth, invoking Macbeth, and even the play Macbeth itself have been on the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater's short list of plays to do. At long last, rather than choose one, they have instead decided to take an innovative approach by holding the first ever MacFestival. 2 months of plays and events, lectures and artwork that are tied to the dark and tormented Shakespearean tale about magic, desire, power, and corruption. Today, I'm fortunate to speak with Bryan Falcone, director of the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater. Bryan, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you, Frank. So thrilled to be here.
Yeah, we just became like best friends off the air. Talking all about what I do around here, how much I care about the performing arts. We talk with Soror City Music Theater around here all the time, and you can listen to those anytime on demand. And I often bring up, especially the last time I spoke to them, how The Wizard of Oz changed my life when I joined the play in 8th grade and really made such a big difference in who I was and who I was going to grow up to be because I love the performing arts. And it wasn't until I did that play that I really came out of my shell and was able to do it. So I'm so happy to be talking to you about the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater. Tell me all about it. Are you in charge of this whole thing?
Yes, I'm the artistic and managing director here at the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and we are 8 years old at this point, and we have been in the historic Y, which is at the corner of University and 5th Avenue, right off the 4th Avenue shopping district. Beautiful building. And actually, our theater is in the old swimming pool. And so we still get audience to come in all the time and say, hey, I got my lifeguard training here. And we go, well, now it's a theater.
That's amazing. Well, you do want to dive in head first when you're going into theater, so that's a good place to do it. So tell me about some of your origins and how you got started and some about the origins of the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater.
Yeah. So I got my MFA in directing from Western Illinois University, but also came through the tech industry of all things on our way here. And about 9 years ago, we had sold the company and we're trying to figure out, well, what do we do next? And we felt that in tech, our connection was with the world, but we wanted to do something that was intrinsically local. And nothing is more intrinsically local than theater. We can't do theater without the people, with the audience, without the artists of our community. And so I had been directing over at the Rogue Theater, which is next door to our theater. Joe McGrath and Cindy Meyer said, well, Bryan and Lizzie, my wife, they said, there's an opportunity next door to open up a theater. We think you should apply. And so we wrote an application to the landlord, Sean Burke, and said, we're interested in starting a new theater. And he looked at a number of different candidates, and he chose us.
Wow.
And what I'd like to share is it was a lot like the proverbial dog that chases the car and then catches it.
Okay.
And then goes, now what?
Yeah.
So we founded the theater, and our interest was, because we saw an opening in the theater of Tucson, to create work that was for all ages. Now, here's the thing. When I say all ages, a lot of people go, oh, so you do children's theater. And yes, we do. But we do work for all ages. So it doesn't matter if you're 8 or you're 80. We have stuff for you. We do a lot of puppet theater. We are a destination for physical theater in the Southwest. And when I say physical theater, I mean this is amazing theater done without any words at all. It's music and circus and cinema and magic. We have a world-class artist working out of our space named Wolf Boart. Traveled the world, but he's based here in Tucson, and our theater is his home theater here in Tucson. Does something wonderful called the Wobo Show that's just good for all ages.
Yep. About a year ago, I had Wolf Boart on the show, and that was the first time that I got to really talk about Scoundrel and Scamp Theater. We talked mostly about the Wobo Show. Yeah. So that's why I was excited to talk to you today and get a little bit more about the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater itself, but also, tell me about how great that Wobo Show is, because I did go see it. It was amazing, and he is such an amazing performing artist that I even learned a lot from. And when you talk about some of that stuff where it's like there's just even the artistry of mime, which some people can think is like just a parody or just whatever. It's like, no, Robin Williams even studied mime. The loudest, craziest, wild man you've ever seen as a comedian. But he understands mime because that's the point. People sometimes forget Picasso could paint photorealistic.
Right.
It's when you advance beyond that to what you can break down and change and perform in such a different way, paint whatever it is artistically. And that's what's fascinating about what I saw at the Wobo show. It was such a unique performance.
Yeah, Wolf is a master. And he is a writer. He is a fabulous verbal performer as well. But during his exploration of what the art was to him, he decided, you know what, my heart is doing physical theater and bringing stories to life there. And it was so much fun and so joyful about watching Wolf work is I just recently went to the Fox Theater and we caught a show there, The Gold Rush, which was done with Tucson Symphony Orchestra. And in it, Charlie Chaplin was performing his famous work. And in Charlie Chaplin's work, I said, there are the roots of what Wolf has brought to our audiences. And so Buster Keaton, you look at cinema history, you look at physical theater in Europe, and Wolf has brought it together in a way that's just so unique and so lovely. And I think what's so beautiful about it is no matter the age of the person in the theater with us, they are laughing, sometimes they're crying, they come out with a grin on their face. There is an element of joy in everything he does, even in hard times. There's something to take away to go, I'm glad I'm alive. I'm glad I experienced this. I'm glad I experienced this with the people around me. And that's part of what's so joyful about coming to theater at Scoundrel and Scamp is we want this communal experience, live theater, where we come and we watch a story together, we're transported together, we breathe together. And that's what's so wonderful live theater, similar to live sports, right? We go there for the last shot of the basketball that goes in right at the buzzer, and we go, we breathe together, and it's just the most amazing rush. Well, that's what live theater is too, when it's done right? That we feel it, we see it, we think about it, and it transforms us. And that's what Wolf Blart does so well in all of his shows.
Yeah, you feel it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. My favorite form of theater is professional wrestling. Ooh, yeah,
it is.
It is that. You do feel all of it, and to get that mix of emotion when you are in a room with people, and to experience one of the most interesting things when you do experience theater in a room, people, is silence.
Yes.
That silence that you have to sit in together, whereas someone is doing something slowly up on a stage with a balloon, and you're just kind of watching this performance, and there is a beauty in movement when there is no other sound that you don't see when there's hustle and bustle all around you. Who's the gal that he does it with? Let's give her some flowers as well.
Oh, yeah, Xochitl Martinez. Fabulous. She often plays the straight man, so to speak, to Wolf's sometimes goofy persona.
Yeah.
And so it's just, they're a lovely comedy duo.
Yeah, they really are. So it really is something special. And if you have not checked out anything at the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater, well, they've got a great website. Let me go bring it up, and we can tour the website a little bit together, because it's scoundrelandscamp.org. So go check out everything they've got going on there, especially upcoming shows. We can scroll on down, and then we're going to talk about everything that's happening when we get to March with the MacFest. I'm looking at the website. Up next, you've got the Friendly Chupacabra, a red herring puppet show. I love red herring puppets. I see them out and about at a lot of fun things. So the Friendly Chupacabra is going to be February 8th, and that looks like a lot of fun. The Wobo show returns on Valentine's Day, February 15th and 16th as well. So go check out everything with the Wobo show happening there. That looks like a lot of fun, and that's a little bit of February. But now let's talk about MacFest, or did you want to touch on some of what's going on here?
Actually, if I could just talk about the Friendly Chupacabra. So Lisa Stirs of Red Herring Puppets is our in-house puppeteer.
Okay.
She ran Red Herring Puppets out on the East Coast for decades, and she moved to Tucson, and she decided that she wanted to make the Scoundrel and Scamp her home theater. And so we run puppet shows over the course of the year, and this is what's lovely. This is when we can get into the 3-year-olds, the 4-year-olds, and they're interacting, and they're shouting at the stage, and they say, "Watch out behind you!" and all those wonderful moments you get with puppets.
Yeah.
And actually, puppets is what got me into theater in the first place, too.
Really?
So it's just lovely to be able to plant that seed with children, to be able to experience this with a master puppeteer. Lisa worked with Jim Henson. She worked with Walt Disney Studios. She's built huge puppets for opera companies. So it's just to have an artist of her caliber working out of our theater is just such a blessing.
Did she have a place in the mall?
Yes, she did.
She had a place in the mall?
She had a place in the mall.
And I watched her put on this amazing shadow puppet show and saw like all her photos of her fame. Jim Henson, Murphy Brown. She did an episode of Murphy Brown, right?
She did.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Tucson is such an amazing place where you will find some characters in this city that's just like, oh yeah, I used to do this with Jim Henson in New York. Oh really? You'll find amazing folks that, I'm a prop specialist for Star Wars. I used to do all that. Yeah. I know some amazing folks in town. Tucson's the vibe, man. It's got a lot of creativity. It attracts a lot of creative folks. And I do love that those creative folks are able to kind of do a version of what they did do out here. And we have a community. That's what a lot of other places don't have. Phoenix, that's right. A lot of other places don't have as much networking and community that we do. And I think that's why we thrive here a lot.
I agree.
That's what I do love the most about it. Now, let's talk about MacFest, because when it comes to Macbeth, I am not the most, brilliant mind as far as Shakespeare. Most of my experience is from watching Disney's Gargoyles, which excellent when it comes to a lot of that. And a lot of the redos of shows, I'll mention animation. They redid the Thundercats in like 2011. It was very Shakespearean. Mm-hmm. They redid He-Man and the Masters of the Universe recently. It's very Shakespearean. Mm-hmm. It has the Shakespearean qualities that they just resonate. And these ways to mature these 80s shows into like modern mythos, they're definitely leaning on Shakespeare. And it's something Gargoyles very much did in the 90s. I'm not even making jokes. It's a very, very good show that really leans on a lot of the lore of Shakespeare's plays, of the history of Shakespeare. So tell me everything about MacFest and Macbeth and why this is so important. You just nerd out on Macbeth for us all right now.
Right, absolutely. So Macbeth and Shakespeare as a whole, it just permeates our culture. There are so many words, references, phrases that we use every day that we can trace right back to Shakespeare as being the first printed or the originator of that particular word or phrase. And there's so much in Macbeth. If I say tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, even if you don't know the play, you recognize that is something from Shakespeare. That's something famous from Shakespeare, and that's coming right from Macbeth. Yeah. But the amazing power of Macbeth is the way that it channels power and presents it in a way that we can really understand it, right? It is about light and dark, about heaven and hell. It's about destiny versus free will. There's so many themes in there that you can go and pull out. It's about witchcraft, right? The interesting thing, so if we're going to geek out, let's go and let's do a little history lesson here real quick. So in 1606, William Shakespeare was commissioned by James I, newly crowned King of England, to write a play. King James I was actually a former king of Scotland. He was actually the first Scottish king of England. And he wanted to put on a party for another visiting monarch, King Christian, who was coming over there from Denmark. And so he said, Shakespeare, write me a play. And so Shakespeare said, well, all right, so if the person who's commissioned me is interested in, he's very interested in witchcraft. After all, the King James Bible came from this. He was very interested in Christianity and also forces of evil. And so he studied witchcraft very closely. And he's from Scotland. I'm going to do a play about Macbeth, who at this point is a mythological figure because Macbeth was a king back in the 11th century. And so, actually, Shakespeare, when he was writing this play, was further away from the original Macbeth than we are from Shakespeare today. So it's how far in the past that this figure was, right? So then Shakespeare writes this play that's full of witches and darkness and murder and betrayal and intrigue. And people love it, and it sticks around. And over the centuries, people come back to it again and again and again, both to do the play, but also to reference the play. So when we were trying to choose our season, we kept running to other plays that were all referencing Macbeth. And we said, well, we'd like to do this other play, but there's so many and they're all so interesting. And so then Betsy Labiner, who is one of our staff members, said, well, why don't let's do a festival. And we go, is that possible? Can we do that? Will anybody come? Right? But has anybody done this before? But the more we talked with others and asked, people said, oh, that's just a brilliant idea. Why don't you do a MacFestival? So we did. So we chose to do an all-female version of Macbeth. Now here's the thing about this play. I've seen the play done many, many times. But we wanted to present something that was leaner, faster, darker, something that explored the themes of what happens when a woman steps into a traditionally male role, politically, position of power. What happens to them? And so we cast an all-female cast, but we're still playing the men as men. These are women playing men's roles. But when we started to figure out, well, who do we want to direct this? Because it'd be good to get a woman director. One of the cast members, Molly Lyons, said, I have a friend. Her name is Lisa Volpe. And she is a world-famous Shakespearean actor, director, educator, who also her focus is on gender in Shakespeare. She has played Macbeth herself many times. She's played Richard III, she's played Hamlet. And so I went and I Googled her and I go, oh, wow, this person was born to do this work with us. You know, not to say that Scoundrel Scamp is the center of the world, but she was born to do this with us, right?
Yeah.
And so we reached out to her, and she agreed. And this is fabulous because she travels the world, and she's coming to co-direct with me and with this incredible group of actresses. So this is a lean 90-minute version of Macbeth. Elizabeth Falcone actually did the cutting of it, and so we're actually rearranging it just a few bits. It's all Shakespeare's words, but we're framing it in a different way that makes it even more relevant to modern audiences because we don't need to appease a dead English king anymore. No. James I is long dead, right? So let's do something that speaks to us, right? And so out of it, I think that the audiences are just going to be blown away with the way that this frames this ancient tale in such a new and fresh way.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's the thing about, hey, everyone loves a good cover song, and that's what keeps a song alive.
Right.
So the truth. And that's what keeps art alive. So doing a cover of it, doing your version of it, that is such a unique spin on it. And that's just one of the things that you're doing.
That's right.
That's incredible. What other friends do you have coming to town that are going to make this event even bigger than it is?
We have a special guest coming in. So this is an interesting story, Frank. So after one of our shows, exiting out of our theater, we had a patron who said, have you heard of the play Macbeth? And I said, well, that's funny, because I have this dog-eared copy of it sitting on my dining room table right now. But it's like from the 1960s. And she goes, my sister, Barbara Garson, is the playwright. And I go, wow. She goes, you have any interest in meeting her? I said, we'd love to have her come to our MacFestival. Barbara Garson took this play. She wrote it. It got controversial. It went to Broadway or off-Broadway. And there, people were mad because, in her version, LBJ assassinates Kennedy, right? LBJ is Macbeth, right? And so there's music, and it's a fascinating play. But thing is, so topical to the times. So we said, Barbara, come. We're going to go ahead and we'll perform 2 scenes from it. We just want you to talk about the controversy, your journey taking it to Broadway. And we'd like to have an afternoon. So there's going to be a talk in the middle of the MacFestival where she comes and presents for us.
That's awesome. I'm shocked it wasn't Nixon. Tell me more about what else do you have planned?
Yeah, so we'll be moving from that to Shakespeare set in a high school. Peerless is the play about 2 Asian American twins, identical twins. They want to go to this Ivy League school. They're in high school, and it's college admissions season. They figure out that the only way they're going to get into that school is by getting into the one diversity slot, is how they think about it, that's available. But unfortunately, that slot is taken by this other guy. He's in a wheelchair, and he's supposedly 1/16 Native American, and so he's going to get the diversity slot. So they figure, in this zero-sum world, that the only way to get this role is to off him. He has an addiction to peanut butter. So they feed him a peanut butter sandwich, right? But here's the thing. So he's out of the way now. But then they realize that there's 2 of them, and there's still only 1 slot.
That's what I was noticing.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
way to villainize the kid in a wheelchair. Right. This is certainly a modern take. That's incredible. Yeah. And again, talk about, kind of a spicy way to do something. Interesting and very modern. Yeah. That, to me, is going to appeal to a new audience. And isn't that a lot of the goal of what you're doing with theater and the performing arts? Is really trying to obviously always get these young folks interested, because helping them find, their path in life is a lot of times, I think, through theater. And even if it is, like we always say, if you're good on stage, that means you're good in a job interview. Public speaking, get used to it. Get used to being great at that sort of thing and being able to communicate with strangers and communicate. Yeah. And that's an important skill that you'll pick up in theater. It's fascinating to me that you're even tackling these subjects. And I do love what you're saying about how, just going back to way before I meant to drop this in, how it's not just, it's for all ages, but that doesn't mean children.
Right.
And that doesn't even mean trying to get, we need new people attending. That again, does not mean children.
Yes.
There are plenty of college-age students in this town that could use a little culture, right? Getting some college-age kids down there, and that version of that, that appeals to college-age kids. I'm sorry. Both of those descriptions appeal to certainly different demographics of college-age kids, and a unique outlook on this play. That's fun and fascinating.
Right. Yeah, it is. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this play is because we wanted to engage a younger set of actors to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the main parts requires Asian American actors.
Right.
And so we say, are we able to do that type of work in town? Is the talent out there? And so we cast it out, and Matt Denny is the director of it, and he reached out to the university, and he cast fabulous actors, And so the thing is if we present the opportunity, the talent is out there. We just have to look hard enough to be able to find it. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, engage broader circles of people because of it. And it's one of the things that I really appreciate about our audiences is that we do have the span of ages, right? So you won't be bringing your 8-year-old to see Peerless, for example, but your 12-year-old, your 13-year-old, your 16-year-old is going to walk away with that going, this was speaking to me.
Yes.
I understand what's going on, and that's really important to us to be able to connect like that. Yeah.
You have classes for kids of all ages as well as adults, which are just, bigger, hairier kids.
Oh, yes.
And you want to get all these people involved, and even you don't want a financial burden to be a barrier, so you can have some scholarships available for some folks. Mm-hmm. How can they get involved? Because, again, there's the idea that you went looking, right? You went looking and put a call out there. But it's up to those kids, those actors that have to be looking for opportunities. Because there are opportunities out there. Do not be afraid to send a cold email.
Yes.
Right? I just saw this term the other day, a cold email. It can turn into a prospect, a job, an acting role, something.
Yeah.
And these places exist in Tucson is the Baby Bear's Porridge. You're able to network here. It is just right. You're able to find the people you need to find in town. I always say it to folks.
That's wonderful and so true. Yeah, we want to know you're out there. If you have talent and you want to be able to get involved with theater, please reach out. We have two things to really help people that aren't connected into the current Tucson theater scene to get onboarded, so to speak. One, we created a few years ago what we call the Inclusive Arizona Casting Database. If you go to the SCOUNDREL SCAMP website, put your information in, and you go ahead and you can mark down how you identify, like your ages you can play, what languages you speak, do you know how to wave around a rapier, any of those kind of things that we need to know, right?
Yes.
And it goes into this database. And here's the thing. So this last spring, for the first time, we got together with a number of other theater companies. We put out a call and said, who would like to do a community audition? And so what's wonderful about it, One Road Theater Company, Saguaro City, Live Theater Workshop, Invisible Theater all came and said, we'd be interested in doing this common audition together. And so all those companies did, and what happened was in the spring we found that before we would run these auditions by ourselves, we had somewhere around 40 to 50 people auditioning for us. When all these companies came together, all of a sudden there was 150 different artists that showed up and said, we are interested in your companies. All that information goes into this database I mentioned. And so now over the course of the year, I go, hey, I'm thinking about doing this particular play. Is there this person of this? I need some Latina actors. I go ahead and I put it in, and I can see, I start calling people. Otherwise, I didn't know we're out there. And the thing is, the same thing is happening with the other theater companies too. And so all these doors are open up because of this. So if people are interested in being involved, if they go to our website and sign up for the newsletter there, we'll be announcing our community auditions again. They're going to be happening in May. They're going to be happening over at Pima Community College because now Pima is involved, as well as University of Arizona too, along with the other theater companies I mentioned. And so it's just a fabulous way to get started. So a lot of people see you, and also your information gets into the system so we know you're there.
It's important. And again, thanks for making a place for that to exist. You might often think that, that didn't exist already. There's not a Yellow Pages for that in town yet. They don't even know what the Yellow Pages mean anymore. But yes, that's the idea. Thanks for building a database. And if you want to get in that database, if you're out there looking for opportunities, go get involved, go to the website. Let's yet again cover everything. Give me some of the dates for MacFest so people know when everything is, how they can get involved, where they can get all the tickets, which is, I believe, just at SCOUNDRELSCAMP.org. That's where tickets are available for this, but all the information as well. What are the dates? It's 2 months.
It's going to be running March through April.
Okay.
And so Macbeth is going to be running from March 6th to the 23rd, followed by Peerless, March 29th to 30th. That one is reading, and it's only 2 days. And then it's going to be followed by Macbitches, which is...
You watch your mouth. Just talking about Macbeth. I can dig it.
So it's Macbeth in an BFA acting program.
Okay.
All right. So a bunch of college girls are hanging out in this dorm room, and what happened is they're thinking that they would get cast as Lady Macbeth, but someone unexpected gets cast as that, and you know what happens when that goes down.
Yeah.
So it is a dark, amazing play. That's Sophie McIntosh is the playwright for that one. That's going to be running April 4th through the 13th, directed by Zach Austin and Annika Meyer. And then it is going to be followed by It Is Magic, which is a site-specific play. The story goes, there are auditions for the adult version of The Three Little Pigs that's happening in the basement of the theater where Macbeth is opening upstairs.
Okay.
Right? The second murderer is late to be able to go upstairs for Macbeth, but downstairs he's being put through hell as they say, that wasn't quite right. Could you please do it again? Try it again. You didn't quite find it. And they're looking for it, the it that is magic when it comes to theater, that ephemeral thing that's so hard to reach, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be
in The Three Little Pigs.
In The Three Little Pigs, right? They're auditioning for the wolf. The wolf is up there. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So that's going to be happening. And that one, if people are interested, get tickets early to that because there's only 20 seats on that site.
Okay.
And it's just going to be fabulous. That is It Is Magic by Nickel Mayer. And it's going to be running April 10th through the 20th. And then we'll be capping it all with 5 acts, 5 Macs, where we are going to be doing that in collaboration with 4 other theater companies. We need to have a departure to this dark story. And so what we have decided to do is we've given each theater company 1 act, and they have to perform it in 10 to 15 minutes. They have some prompts about things that they have to do, but they have to do it in their particular style. So, for example, we mentioned Saguaro City earlier. Mm-hmm. Saguaro City is doing Act 5. They're doing it as a musical number.
Nice.
All right? We're working with Unscrewed Theater.
Yes.
Unscrewed Theater is going to do it as improv.
Brilliant.
Right? We have Borderlands Theater doing Campesino Theater. We have Winding Road that's going to be doing as beat poetry. And we have our Scamps from the Scoundrel Scamp doing it as if it's on a playground. It's just going to be fun way out. And it's going to be hosted in between acts by Wolf Boart and the Witches of the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater. It's going to be a delightful night. That's going to be happening April 25th to 27th.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that like my dad had told me once. So here's my dad's approval for you, where it is me doing this, and this. He goes, you've always been trying to do all these things. Who knew you had to do them all at once for it to work? And that's what MacFest is. That's what you're doing. And that's what having the big collaborative audition is. It's doing it all together and doing it all at once because you know what? You don't print a Post-it note. You print a billboard. Yeah. That's what you do. That's how you get the word out. You got to go as big as you can, as bright as you can, and get as many people involved as you can. And it sounds like this is the way to do it. And there's just so much hype. I hear all the hype. I feel the hype. Like, that's not just come see Macbeth, everybody.
Yeah.
And then that's all we talk about. No, you really laid out quite the menu of very different flavors when it comes to Macbeth. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm pumped for, 2 of those are ones I'm like, well, I definitely want to go to that one. I really got to see that one. There's only 20 seats in that one. Damn it. So now I got to make sure I go to that one. But that is incredible. Really, you heard it here. Go get all the details over on their website. Again, I'll say it's scoundrelandscamp.org. I will give you a recap of all of those in the recap because today we made friends with Bryan Falcone. What was your title again that's really big and good?
Artistic and Managing Director.
Yeah, Artistic and Managing Director of the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Frank. This was a real delight.
Yeah, this was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong, bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. I really enjoyed that conversation, can you tell? Nerding out about Macbeth. I think the most fascinating part was the history lesson on Shakespeare and Macbeth and how this all happened. King James. King. So I really did have a good time. You can learn all about this and more by going to scoundrelandscamp.org. Follow them on Instagram at scoundrelandscamp and make sure that you attend the MacFestival running March 6th through April 27th. It sounds like it's going to be a great time. There's a lot of options for shows. You can buy one big bulk ticket and attend as many of them as you can make it to. So a really exciting time here for local theater in Tucson. And you heard about that amazing directory that they made. So if you haven't joined that and you are someone looking for opportunities in town to act or get involved in stage shows, go sign up, go to that website. It's really up to you. So I want to thank our new friends at the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are out. Damn spot. Out. follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. Toot toot Tucson. I love you the most.